Thank you, Agent Hargraves, for helping our newest batch of recruits settle in. I am Chief Bertie Edwards, and this is the Sherlock Holmes Consultant Detective Agency of America. We're going to call it CDA for short. Now, we brought you here to Providence, Rhode Island to investigate a disappearance. That's what they call it right now. We believe it's something more, but that is for you to find out. You've probably read the papers. It's right there in front of you if you want to browse through it and refresh yourself of it. But this involves the disappearance of a 26-year-old man from a mental hospital, very secure, most secure than many of our prisons and jails in this country, and he just disappeared out of thin air. That's what people believe. Left behind a trail of bluish-gray dust in his room. Now, that's impossible. And we know that Sherlock tells us that we must, as detectives, eliminate the impossible, and whatever remains, no matter how improbable it may be, will be the truth. And that is what we're here today to find out, the truth. Now, the last person who saw Charles Dexter Ward, that's the young man that disappeared, the last person who saw him was the family physician of the Wards, the Dr. Marinus Bicknell Willett. He was with Charles, he left, and he said that, well, he was in his bed when he left. Now, the orderly says that he didn't look there immediately after, but when they did, they found that he was missing, and has been ever since. The doctor, however, he went on vacation to parts unknown, and he has not returned since. Now, we believe that this is not a disappearance. Let me take that back. In fact, there is somebody who disappeared, and that is the doctor, because we believe that this is actually a murder case. Now, let me tell you why. It gets a little stranger here. You see, before Charles was incarcerated, so to speak, he was obsessed over this ancestor that he had. His ancestor's name was Joseph Curwen. Now, Curwen, he was practicing magic back in the 1700s, necromancy and witchcraft, and the people of Providence, Rhode Island back then, they didn't take a good liking to that kind of stuff, and they put him to death. Now, Joseph, he was buried, and for the most part, history forgot about him. But for somehow, Charles discovered his ancestor and wanted to know everything he could. He really, literally became obsessed with finding out about Joseph. He even has his portrait that he found in an old house of his there above the mantle when you walk into his room. Speaking of which, that is where you're going. Your investigation takes place in the room of Charles. Now, we believe that we will find the answers we seek right there. The murder case, being as it is, a strange thing with murder is you need a body. Now, here's what's going on. Sherlock Holmes and Watson has found Dr. Willett. He's in another country, can't disclose it right now, but they found him. And they can make an arrest. They got a small window to do so, about an hour's worth of time. But to make an arrest, they need hard evidence. They need a body, of course. You're going to go in Charles's room, and we believe, actually, you're going to find two bodies. One of Joseph Curwen. The reason why, we found an eyewitness that say that there was a casket brought into that room about 6 weeks ago, and no one ever saw it leave. They don't know where it is, so it's probably stashed away somewhere, but we need to find the body of that Joseph Curwen to look at it, examine it, and determine that the dead does in fact still remain dead. Now, I know that sounds crazy and ridiculous, but there's a local author, a sensationalist, H.P. Lovecraft, and he done wrote a story of horror and sensational fiction saying that Charles brought Joseph Curwen back from the dead, him looking so much alike. Joseph Curwen then killed Charles and took his place here amongst society, made his escape using magic. Well, we know that that ain't the case, so we need to discover that body, not to prove to us, because we know the truth, but to prove to everybody that Joseph Curwen still remains as dead as he ever was since the 1700s. And second body we need to find is the unfortunate victim in all of this mess, Charles Dexter Ward. Now, we believe that he was the victim of this terrible crime perpetrated by the doctor, because the doctor has everything to gain. The doctor is the inheritor of the estate, with Charles being in the mental hospital and his executor. And also through all of this, it just drove his parents really out of their minds. And unfortunately, the mother's sick. The father, he don't look like he's too long for this world. So the only person to gain out of all of this, of the fortunes of the Wards, is Dr. Marinus Bicknell. Now, with all that being said and done, we believe that you are going into a potential crime scene. Now, being consultant detectives and not the official police, we need to keep some things in mind. Number one is go easy on the room. everything in it. If it can move, it'll move easy. No need to force anything. No need to climb on anything. Please don't climb on anything or any chairs or whatnot. Move furniture around. Now, when you walk in the door, you're going to see a coat rack and some shelves. You can put your personal belongings in there. We ask that you don't use, you call it cell phones. They look futuristic to me. But now, if you need to take a phone call, you can walk out. The doors are never unlocked. But know that time stops for no man's money. And you just have 1 hour, and that is it. Just 1 hour. But you can go out, take your phone call, come on back in. But please don't use any gadgets on that cellular device. Now, inside, you might see some stickers on some certain things. We went in there and tagged some things, just saying that if it's a red sticker, it says don't force, don't touch, excuse me. The red sticker said don't touch. So if you see a red sticker, that means that you can look at it, but don't pick it up, don't turn it around and nothing like that. And then number 2, you might see a yellow sticker that says don't force. Now that just means that it's on something that is fragile, or it's on a cylinder tube or whatnot. If it is, you don't need to open that tube. If it's on something fragile, just go easy on it. It's meant to be moved, it's meant to be played with and manipulated and whatnot. But it's very fragile, so please go easy on it. Now, know this, you have an entire agency behind your back. And if you need a clue, just go there to that microphone in the corner and say, Dr. Watson, we need a clue, and he's going to speak back. There'll be a screen there. He's going to transmit telegraphs somehow, but you'll be able to read it. And it also tells you how much time you have left. You got about an hour's worth of time before that window closes. Next is the directional lock. Hargraves, if you would, show them right there. There you go. Now, this you're just going to reset when you first see it. Right there. Very good. And to put in combinations, it's going to use direction. So it might be left, down, right, up, something like that. When you get that combination, just pull straight down. It should come open if you have the right combination. If you don't, just remember each time to go ahead and reset that lock. Go ahead. There you go. And then you can put back in another combination. Oh, and one more thing. Remember that the mailboxes are on the outside of houses. Now that's my hound. Something must be up. So I'm going to go and investigate that. But if you have any questions, please direct it to Agent Hargraves. They'll be happy to help you. And good luck. The game is afoot.